Another day, another episode. Genre lighting. Welcome back everyone, it's Robert Macfarlane here, and today we're going to be talking about genre and how it can improve your next film. When I started making short films, telling stories, I was obsessed with this idea of telling a story that could move an audience, that could connect with them in a way. I picked up my father's old mini DV camera and started writing moments and events on A4 sheets of paper, and then grabbing some friends and running around the little village that I lived in. And thankfully, none of those short films have survived to today, and if any of you have access to any of them, please don't let anyone know, oh dear Lord. But what I didn't realise from the very beginning of my filmmaking career, coming up with those concepts to shoot with my friends around the place with no formal education whatsoever, not even YouTube to teach you, I was already considering genre. A lot of the times I was looking at drama and horror. I already understood what I expected from genre. However, I didn't realize at the time I was making one of the biggest genre mistakes any filmmaker can make. I was merely fulfilling what I had seen previously from films of that genre. So with that in mind, we're going to go through how to utilize genre to make sure your film is unique and surprises your audience throughout. So first things first, what is genre and why should we care? Now, for those of you out there who maybe haven't really dabbled in the idea or haven't learned about the concept of genre, you may feel like the genre is essentially kind of pushing you to make a film in a particular way, and it stops you from being creatively free. I would argue, however, that genre actually is probably one of the most important creative tools that you have to utilize throughout the process of making a film. And there's a reason for that. Genre is essentially a set of promises that you make your audience. These promises are things that they are expecting you to come through on. Such as if you make a movie that promises itself to be a horror film and then it ends up with gags all the way through it and no scares, then your genre is wrong. You've promised the audience something, they've paid for it, and then you've given them something else. It's like going into a mobile phone store and coming out with a mattress. So genre is an incredibly powerful tool in selling your film to your audience. Now, does this mean that we all have to make cookie cutter movies? No, because there is such a thing as a hybrid genre. What it means is we can put different genres together to create a totally unique film based on the concept. What this means is you don't have to go out and create a horror film that's purely a horror film, or a comedy that is only comedy. You could create a horror comedy, such as Cabin in the Woods.
What is that thing?
We have to stay together. This isn't right. We should split up.
Yeah, good idea.
Really?
Which didn't just use horror and comedy, but it also used coming of age, it also used lots of different genre tropes, and it then turned it on its head. By using the genre, it actually was able to be more creative because of it. If you haven't seen Cabin in the Woods, I thoroughly recommend it. It's a brilliant movie. Spoiler alert for Cabin in the Woods, if you haven't watched it and you intend to, stop now, go watch it. Actually, no, don't stop now. Continue watching this, get excited by the movie, and then go watch the movie. In Cabin in the Woods, we're given a cliched horror situation. A group of horny teenagers go out to a cabin, a secluded cabin in the woods, and then are attacked by vicious monsters from the deep. However, in an ironic twist, these monsters weren't actually sent by some evil demon or anything. They were actually sent by other humans trying to save the world, and by using these monsters to eradicate the teenagers, unfortunately, they prevent an apocalypse on a much larger scale. the humour that is brought to the film every time we're led down a path that we recognise from previous films, tropes and cliches such as standing by a window and something smashing through and pulling you out, or having the good-looking male and female characters, the leads, survive until the end, and instead twisting it on us. It's an absolutely brilliant use of genre to keep us on our toes throughout the story. And by being aware of the genre and what people expect to get from the genre, we as directors and writers are able to stay one step ahead of the audience instead of one step behind. And believe me, it's basically cinematic suicide if we allow our audience to get ahead of the story and then they've already guessed the ending. It sucks for both us and the audience. Now, you'll always get someone who will guess it. I know quite a few people who are incredibly good at seeing through a plot and guessing the end of the film. But for the majority of the time, your audience wants to be there. They want to be surprised. They are expecting it. They're looking for it. They're hoping that you're going to show them something they have never seen before, which is why genre is so incredibly important, and especially in short films. So short films can absolutely be multiple genres, 2, 3, and even 4 genres. There will almost always be a dominant genre, and then there'll be subgenres within that. So if you're creating a horror comedy, your initial genre is horror, and then comedy. But if you're making a comedy horror, then it's the other way around. Examples of this could be a horror comedy, which is Cabin in the Woods, but a comedy horror would be more like Shaun of the Dead.
Do you ever think that modern life is not for you?
The scare to comedy ratio is slightly different, and they therefore approach their horror and their comedy in totally unique ways. It's not just coming up with fantastic characters and concepts that can bring unique value to people's screens. It is your ability to look at the film as a genre and utilize your concept in a unique way within that. So what are some other hybrid genres that you could take a look at? Well, there's also sci-fi comedy.
We're not thieves, but we are thieves. Point is, we're not taking what's his.
It doesn't matter where you go or how far you fly. And the last thing you see will be my blade.
Darn. Now this is all the money Niska gave us in advance.
I'm good. Let's speak for everyone. I'm right there with you.
Or sci-fi horror, or sci-fi drama.
Whatever that probe is picking up, it's reading life form.
What do you mean a life form?
Oh, the head. Changing.
Changing into what?
It's moving? These things moving?
What about a thriller suspense drama?
So I want the Celtics to cover. I want the Celtics halftime. I want Garnett points and rebounds.
What do you know?
I don't know. I just know.
What about a thriller mystery drama?
Anthony Clare, 3650 Rathburn Road.
Hello?
Good afternoon.
Hey,
I'm calling to speak
where
to
are you calling from?
I'm sorry. I think there's been a
Who is
misunderstanding.
this?
Okay, I'll call back later.
Or a Western noir horror?
Are you out here alone?
No,
No longer a God-fearing woman.
I don't suspect God has much business out here.
What's great here is that there are so many genres out there that you can come up with really interesting and unique combinations of your genres to piece together to help guide you on your next project. Now, most of you will probably have got a script or be thinking of a script, and you will already know its genre. It's absolutely incredible. We already categorize it in our mind. But can you add more depth by adding in a subgenre into your film? If your film is a really gritty noir mystery, well, is there elements of thriller in there? And if there is, then start to think about, well, hang on, if I've got thriller moments where we are hanging off the edge of our seats, then how do I ensure that I am not only giving what I promise in those thriller moments, but I'm also able to subvert those tropes in my film and make my film even more interesting to watch? It really is so incredibly powerful, and I thoroughly recommend you sit down, pen and paper, and start writing out different genres, and then at random picking 2, 3, 4 genres and putting them together and starting to think, oh, what type of film would fit into a sci-fi western comedy?
Will Smith. Kevin Kline.
Or a period suspense horror.
Why do you open the curtains? It was Victor.
You told your brother that there was someone else in the room.
There was.
That'll do, Anne.
I've seen them too.
The human brain is an incredible storytelling machine, and it's able to instantly categorize any story, genre, trope, character, because it always wants to make sense of what it's seeing. So if that's the case, always think about, what's the audience seeing? What have you promised the audience, and how can you surprise them without taking them out of the genre that you have promised them at the beginning of the film? I cannot understate how important genre is in not only enabling you to promise the right film to your audience, which actually increases its saleability, but also ensuring that you can keep your audience on its toes because you already know what they're expecting, so you can show them the unexpected. Thank you for watching today. If you enjoyed today's content, subscribe, hit the bell icon, and smash the like. I'll wait for you. Thank you very much, and check out below some more links to help you up your game on your next project.